Joan Quinn Profiles. As an editor for Andy Warhol's Interview, the Los Angeles Herald-Examiner, LA Style, and Detour magazines, Joan covered the social set, the Hollywood hotshots, the international art scene, the mysteries of food, the excitement of travel, and the fabulous world of fashion. Joan continues to find creative people on the cutting edge who make things happen. Here's Joan Agajanian Quinn.
Hi, I'm Joan Quinn, and welcome to the Joan Quinn Profiles. Waiting to be profiled are jeweler Patrick Mauboussin and photographer Deborah Chesher. Jewelry designer Patrick Mauboussin was born in Neuilly and went to Penningham School of Design in Paris. He was raised in Paris, which the House of Mauboussin flourished for 6 generations. That's what you were raised with,
yes,
with
absolutely.
This exciting jewelry house that your family had been in forever. Did you think you were going to follow in the footsteps of your grandfathers and your ancestors?
Not really, at the beginning, not really.
I wondered.
Yeah, not really. I prefer to be, let's say, the advertisement.
Oh, you did?
Publicity, yes. Just designing and... but after my father was very keen enough when I'm looking for what to do, and it just proposed me to do, but why don't you do a training course in a workshop, not at Mauboussin, of course, but in another workshop. And I start doing jewelry in a workshop, so just having the metal and having the stones for 4 months, and this, I love it. So I joined the company after.
Was it after school? Did you
After
learn?
school, yes.
But you went
After
to school for design. What were you were going to
Yes.
use that for advertising?
No, I think I change. I think I won't be the best one in advertising. And in the meantime, I love the jewelries. And I found that I much prefer to be in a sort of sculpture than plain design.
So, did you know when you got to this,
Yes.
what was it, like an internship?
Yeah.
Did you learn how to set stones and how to work in
Absolutely.
metal?
Absolutely.
And then, how did the designing part of it start? Because you were probably setting things for other designers.
Absolutely. Totally. But I discovered it's like, I think just to create a jewelry, it's like a cook.
Yeah.
You have a lot of ingredients.
Right.
Those
That's what I
ingredients
said.
are emeralds, rubies, sapphires, and the metal, and you make a very nice sauce just to make the jewels done.
So what's your inspiration for doing the designs? Where do you start?
I think I'm first curious of everything. Secondly, it's I used to travel a lot and to bring a lot of image. I do a lot of pictures of that and like to touch or to buy little things. And all mixed together give me a lot of inspiration.
So that makes you, so would you say it's more floral in your designs, or?
For example, for California, for this collection, when I come back to Los Angeles, the first things that I've seen is just the light in California, and I love the light. The second thing is the ocean. So part of the collection was based naturally on the ocean animals, or like some seahorse or jellyfish, and because I love the colors.
I see.
And I make them I make them to do something flexible, new. And Michael Kazenjian, my partner when we did this joint venture, is a wonderful man who has, who buys some stones, some color stones. He's a specialist of colors.
I was going to ask you, what stones are you drawn to? You obviously, because Kazanjian is known for colored stones, you were drawn for this partnership because of the stones.
I think absolutely, and I think it's what is written
I'm
in the
holding
light.
this up.
Absolutely.
I'm holding my kunzite up while you're talking.
Just a little pink with a little touch of mauve and a lot of diamonds. And frankly, it was a passion.
The
When
colored
I met
stones?
Michael, yes. Always in Mauboussin history, from the past, we always used colors. And myself, I'd love colors. I'd love to mix them. colors and materials. And when I met Michael, we have the same passion. And that's the way why we change, and with this alchemy was fantastic, you know, to realize new collections.
When you start to design, like something like this
Yes.
beautiful bracelet that you see the corseted part on here.
Absolutely.
And what
Just
else do we
be
see?
very
We see the little
feminine.
bow, which is your
bow,
signature.
absolutely.
The knot.
The bow and the knot is my signature, and every bows are moving.
So we call this en tremblant.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that right?
Exactly, absolutely.
So what would
Because it
you? How
has to
would
be
you start
fun.
this? How would you start this? What do you start first? Everything's moving. It's beautiful. Do you draw it?
No, I
You
start
don't draw it?
first. No, I start first by the stone.
Ah, so
was
you start
impre-
with the kunzite.
Yes, with the kunzite. When I see the color of the kunzite, I love it and I return it on the other hand. And to see from the deepness of the stone how to do something very light and in the meantime very feminine. This color was so feminine that I play with corset. Lace and corset gives me this impression. And after I built this construction, and later came the design.
Is that right?
Yes, absolutely.
You wouldn't think that.
I need to touch to see the stones. This is something more, when you're creative, you can do whatever you want, but the stones first is the most important for me. It's very different from marketing.
So when you actually use these stones,
Yes.
Kazanjian has the stones,
Absolutely.
the Beverly Hills, because
Absolutely.
that's his thing.
Absolutely. And Mike gave me all the stones. We went to buy some others together.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And we'd love each other, you know, or both our experience are different. And I do found some colors, and this is specific to Michael, very rare colors that even I didn't find with Mauboussin. I had
Is
some
that
other
because
colors.
I know that Michael goes to gem shows all over and knows
Absolutely.
all over the world, and he knows
Yes,
what to pick.
he knows what to
And this
pick.
is gorgeous.
That's gorgeous. And you know, yes, and you know that way from the same things about the color of California. I want to play in the blue.
True.
Just to have some white diamonds, but with Paribas tourmaline, or with aquamarine color, with peridot color. It's a green, blue,
Yes.
mixed and white.
And this big stone?
Yeah, and that one is a blue topaz.
Oh, it's so
And-
great. It has such a different kind of color.
Absolutely.
I'm showing these because I just, whoa, I can't stop. I have
love
to
it.
look at the sides, how this all paved up the sides.
Absolutely. And that one it's a wonderful black opal. And I just want to set it very delightfully, but with the big pavé diamonds and some little prongs. But behind the ring, I want to have.
Oh yes, I
Yes.
see. It's a secret.
It's a secret, because when you wear it, you didn't see this color. You see, oh, but there's something behind. What's
what
it?
are those?
And those are
Demontoid?
those are Tsavorite. But
Tsavorite.
they could be dementoid.
But that's this
Because that
little
was a little-
secret underneath
Absolutely, because it was a little green inside the opal.
on both sides. Oh, that's
Yeah.
wonderful. Let me get this one.
The
Oh, this is
details.
what we were talking about, the corset. Can you
Yeah.
pick this up? Yeah. And this corset shape?
Absolutely, the corset shape. Well, for me, the most feminine part that we have. It's very sexy, and I say how to use the corset, and just to use it to set a stone, because it's something very, I would say, elegant, feminine, and it structures the ring with just a little fun, you know, something but delicately done. And this is done in diamonds.
And this is colored stone
Absolutely.
on the side.
It's
What's
just
the
a
big
mixed-
stone?
The big stone is a chrysoberyl.
Beautiful.
a
Just looks
wonderful
like
one.
root
Yeah.
beer.
Yeah, I agree
And
with
then
you.
this other color around it. And the thing with the corset, I think, goes back. It goes back like to your
Absolutely.
ancestors, doesn't it?
Totally.
And when I was at Kazanjian's the other day, they had a bracelet, and you'd corseted the
Yes,
sides of the
yes,
bracelet.
yes,
It was
exactly.
so beautiful.
Exactly.
But one of the things
So-
Michael showed me, Patrick, that he
Oh, yes.
really loved was
I'd love to play this.
this because it was so flexible.
That's very, very flexible. And this is new type of mesh because I always want to do in jewelry to be modern, and something for me which is very important, the comfort and the flexibility. Ladies has to play with it. You know, you have to touch it. This is and earrings, you know, for example, if you have some earrings.
This is an earring?
That's a pendant, but I make it in earrings, pair of earrings. And for me, earrings is like a makeup. So it has to shine, it has to move. And usually when you have a jewelry, you like to touch it.
These are beautiful
So,
stones.
yeah, those are sapphires.
Those are sapphires,
Yes,
colored
absolutely.
sapphires.
Colored sapphires.
I think today just shows us that so
Yeah.
many different names that we know are come in different colors than we're really used to seeing.
Absolutely.
So you're using
and that's
these.
the playful of colors.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like, you know, the impressionist. When you see some colors,
exactly.
you play with it.
Yeah.
And it's really what I like.
Well, my favorite has always been Tutti Frutti. But this isn't Tutti Frutti. Tutti Frutti from the 40s, they said, right?
Absolutely.
Colored stones making into.
Mauboussin did
Mauboussin
a lot,
did them,
yes,
yeah.
a lot
And
of
Cartier
them.
did a
And
lot.
Cartier, of course, did a lot. And the new collection is with some Tutti Frutti, I think. And we were at the same time competitors, I will say.
Of course.
Just for colors. And on that one, I want to reinvent a little bit the Tutti Frutti. So I will call it Naughty Frutti.
That's because it has your knots on it.
The little knot.
Yeah,
so
that's
you can
great.
call it naughty, whatever you want.
Or naughty, naughty, bad.
That's right. But it's fun, and from the original pieces, I make it much more flexible. If you touch at the pendant.
Yes, it's like that
Yes.
mesh that I just saw.
Exactly.
Now just show me the octopus,
Oh yes.
because this is
My
really reminiscent of California, I think, right?
Totally,
This
totally.
is one of your designs that should.
Totally. I was fascinated by the opals from Australia and Mexican fire opals.
These are Mexican fire opals?
Absolutely. That Mike has. And after we went to buy some, so I select some pieces. And just to realize jellyfish, because this is part of the ocean, and from those specific colors that I really found in California. California is the dreamland.
This is
you have
great.
this light, which I like so much.
And so
and
flexible.
the colors, and always very flexible.
And very flexible. And before we leave,
And
show
easy.
me the one piece de resistance. A huge
That
aqua.
That one is a very nice little bracelet.
I would wear this. I would wear this
With-
as a brooch. It's a bracelet, though, and it's an elephant.
It's an elephant. It's a bracelet, but it could be worn as a pendant with a little modification. And on that one, it's aquamarine with sapphires, any colors of sapphires and diamonds. And when you put it on your wrist, it's very nice to have this lucky
Like this,
elephant.
right?
That's right.
Now,
And
do
this
you?
is a lucky animal.
It is lucky.
Yes.
And you always designed, or your company, your name, always designed for movie stars and heads of state and maharajas. Are
Absolutely.
you still doing that kind of work?
Yeah, I do continue totally. You know, one of my souvenirs, which was a great one, was the engagement ring that I did for Céline Dion and
Oh.
Ray and Jalil, his wedding band. And I'd love, because she was in love with one specific ring that I designed while I was at Mauboussin. And I continue because even in the past of Mauboussin, it was a great story about Marlene Dietrich and Mauboussin, because she was ordered 2 bracelets, very important bracelets, and she used those bracelets as part of her personality.
Oh,
Because,
she
you know,
did.
yes, because she was wearing like that, and those 2 bracelets was really part of her personality, because we thought a lot of pictures where really we think she was a model for jewelers.
That's
No,
right.
it was only her.
It was only hers.
Yes. So,
But-
you know, the story is being back, and that was the American period of Mauboussin in the 20s, or 50s.
That was great, and your stories are great, and your designs are beautiful,
It's a
and
new
I'm
story
so
now.
glad Kazanjian and
very
Mauboussin have the Paris-Los Angeles connection.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Joan.
Thank you. Don't go away. We'll be right back with photographer Deborah Chesher, whose photographs we're going to be seeing in her new book. I'm Joan Quinn, and welcome back to the Joan Quinn Profiles. Author, photographer Deborah Chesher was born and raised in Calgary, Alberta. She studied interior design at Ryerson University. After her first visit to California in 1974, bringing with her some 11 by 14 prints of musicians, she landed her first job on her first day in Los Angeles. The rest is history. And she became one of the most recognizable rock and roll photographers. So, what were you going to do with your business? I mean, how did music come about?
Actually, I started shooting in Canada, and I was shooting in Vancouver, and then I came down to try and make it as a photographer in Los Angeles. I was the big fish in the little pond up in Vancouver, shooting. Most of the pictures in the book were actually shot in Vancouver.
You were the biggie, right?
Yeah, it was a small community.
Yeah.
We had really great people. I worked for the record companies, and I would take pictures
you were.
backstage.
Oh,
yes.
so you had already this
Yes,
connection.
and but I always wanted to be in California since I was a little kid.
But the great thing is, you said you worked when the musicians and the business was about music.
Yes, and that's partly about what this book is about for me. Is I'm hoping that young musicians will take a look at it and get interested in listening to the music from that era, because the playing was so important then. It wasn't about the celebrity of it, it was about being a musician and playing your instruments and being creative and writing songs. And I think that's the musical landscape is kind of barren these days compared to what it was then.
But how did you know about the music? You weren't a music major, or were you?
No, I had nothing to do with music. My brother was in Toronto when I went there for the year that I was at Ryerson, and he played guitar. And I used to hang out with him, and we'd go down to this club called the Oxford Inn in Toronto, and I had picked up photography as part of interior design, and I started using the musicians at the Oxford Inn as guinea pigs to shoot, thinking I would get a job as an apprentice with a real photographer. And ultimately, it just took me down that road, and I ended up in Vancouver, and I knew a guy that ran a sound company, and he said, yeah, come on down, and took my camera, and then I showed him my pictures, and he goes, well, you should meet this person and that person, and I ended up, luckily, just getting in with all the record companies there, and I shot hundreds of bands in a 2-year period.
But you didn't really have a career as an interior designer then.
No,
That went.
Your set is much nicer than anything I could do.
Well, we
Sadly,
thank
no.
Kathleen Spiegelman for this,
Yes,
because
no,
she
I
said
have. My house looks okay, but no, I'm not an interior designer.
Isn't
I
that
got out of that really
something?
quickly.
That was
Yeah.
really fast, but that was your conduit to the camera.
Well, the thing with it was interior design. I thought I can be an artist and not starve.
Oh, I see.
Because I had been drawing and doing those kinds of things. So I had always been doing something that was visual. But the camera, I just picked it up, and my assignment was to take pictures of things outdoors, and they all turned out so good. I thought, wow, I'm kind of good at this.
But when you wanted to be an assistant, when you wanted to be a photographer, did you think that was going to be your career?
I don't know what I thought. I was really young. I was like 18 years old.
You didn't know about career?
I knew nothing of networking, nothing of career. I was kind of a rebel, but I just sort of did what I liked to do, and it intrigued me, so I started doing it, and then it intrigued me more, and I just kept doing it, and fell into being able to shoot these amazing, amazing musicians. There's 48 of them in this book. They're the ones that are dead.
Everybody
I shot is dead.
Everybody I Shot is Dead is not your first book. You did
No.
Star Art.
Yes.
What was that about?
Well, that's what happened when I moved to Los Angeles to be a photographer here, and found out it was a whole different landscape. Down here, the first thing I got here was I was invited to shoot a live album cover of Dave Mason, and I got to the show.
Oh, you did?
Yes, and they were playing, Little Feat was playing with them, so I had shot Little Feat, and I thought, oh great, I'm going to shoot this live cover. And when I got out there to shoot, there was 20 other photographers that were also invited to shoot the live cover.
Oh, you thought you...
And they were all linebackers. And the way I shot, I didn't shoot like other people. I would only shoot a roll or two of film at a concert. I would wait and get the shots that I really wanted. I'd sit and wait and know exactly what was coming. And I tried to always get inside the musician. I wanted people to see them how I saw them.
So this was Star Art.
And that was my photography. So what happened?
Not my thing. I'm not interested in this everybody's the same kind of thing. Right. I wanted to do something more special, so I had this idea of, I think I'll do a book of artwork done by musicians.
Oh, is that what it was?
And that's what it was.
Star art.
Yes. And so I got one musician who I had met, having shot him, was Commander Cody, George Frayne. And so I said, listen, this is what I want to do. Would you like to be a part of it? Because he's a fine artist. And I put together a mock-up of his chapter, and then I went to the next musician and said, this is what I'm doing. Do you like it? Yes.
And was it their painting? Or
it was their paintings, and I was the conduit to show their work. I was the first person to show that an artist could do well in more than one format, in more than one media.
Because it is true.
Now it's big time.
I
They're
know.
selling all kinds of it. I was the first person to publish Ron Wood's paintings, and now he's doing really, really well with them. But I worked my way up, and I ended up with Joni Mitchell, Cat Stevens, Ron Wood, John Mayall, Klaus Vormann, and Commander Cody.
And you had no connection to these people before. It was just
Not
through your
really. Reputation. Well,
and
it was
within
more
your work.
It was more through my tenacity.
I'm giving you a compliment.
But thank you. They enjoyed my work, and I had to show them something. But I was still a kid. I was 20 years old when I started that book, and they were all older than me. And it was like this little girl coming in with this little project. I had no publisher, no nothing, but they liked what I brought, which was me and my work.
Was there copy in it?
Yes, I did
You
interviews
did write
with them,
the
and
copy?
I wrote the copy. That was before I knew how to be a writer. I'd written a little bit in Vancouver when I was shooting pictures. I'd write about the musicians that were coming to town. So I had a little bit of that, but not any training.
What about for publication? Did you ever photograph and have it published in magazines or that kind of thing?
I had my photographs
As
or
a
my
journalist,
writing. As
yeah.
a journalist,
Uh-huh.
you know, I've always thought about being a photojournalist and how
But
fun
you
it would
never
be,
did.
but I haven't had time.
It seems like you're a photojournalist, though.
I think of this as a photojournalism
Yeah, that's what I was
of this
thinking.
time, and I'm really happy with being able to do the writing and connect it with the photographs.
And in this book, did you? It has copy.
Yes.
I'm going to just open.
You find some.
I'll find some. It has stories.
Yes,
I know. I
there
went
are.
through and
There's my stories of what it was like to shoot them or what it was like to be there at the time. Some of the stories are very personal about me growing up and how I felt about things. For example, with Led Zeppelin, when I shot John Bonham, and I had loved Led Zeppelin when I was 16, and then to get to shoot them was something else. So I write a little story about that, sort of about the sexuality that I went through, and it's quite personal, a lot of it.
how many years does this cover?
This covers 75 to 79, 1975 to
very
79.
small.
It's very small.
And everyone is not living.
In this book, there are some pictures of living people in the book, but only if they're in the picture with the person who has passed away.
So you wrote the copy. I think one of the things you said that it included Time Capsule, Ghosts of the Past, and 6 Degrees.
There's a lot of 6 degrees of separation between these musicians.
Does that
which is
mean
very,
the people that are not dead are 6 degrees, or they're
no,
all 6 degrees?
within the book.
Uh-huh.
For example, Gene Pitney is in the book, and he just passed away 2 years ago. And he wrote the song Hello, Mary Lou, which was a big hit for Rick Nelson, who's
right.
also in the book.
Oh, I see.
Harry Nilsson, who had a huge hit with the song Without You, was actually written by Pete Ham and Tom Evans of Badfinger, and they're all in the book. And it's just really strange how interconnected everybody is. It's like, oh, there's my man.
I'm going to run through these really quickly.
Okay.
Tell us who they were and where you shot them.
That's Waylon Jennings, and I shot him at the Queen Elizabeth Theatre in Vancouver, and he and I connected like crazy. He played for my camera, and I took better pictures of him than anybody else I shot, I think. You know, sometimes you get that chemistry
Yeah.
going.
And
that, another of my favorites is John Lee Hooker, and he's giving me a kiss goodbye, and that was the third time and last time that I shot him in 1974.
are these pictures from the book?
These are all in the book.
Okay.
There's George Harrison, and that was shot on his Dark Horse tour, on his solo tour. And then I also got the occasion I guess 3 or 4 years later, when I was working on Star Art, I became close with Maureen Starkey, Ringo's ex-wife.
Oh, yeah.
And I had the opportunity to go to his house because Klaus Bormann designed doorknobs that are in his house. So I got to go to his house, and I put pictures of his house in the book too,
Oh,
so
that's
people will be
great.
able to see that.
Yeah, that's great.
And that is Papa John Creech backstage. He was with Jefferson Starship and also Hot Tuna, and I just loved shooting him. The most elegant man ever.
None of these are setups, are they?
No, I'm
I mean,
very
none
candid.
of them are
Not
studio-
really.
none-
No,
nothing
I
studio
shoot
work.
live, and the live shots. You know, you're like for
this
example,
is-
yeah, that's Tim Buckley, and I just happened to catch that shot, and that's one of my favorite pictures. And he was an amazing singer, beautiful man. And that's one of the ones of Harry Nilsson, and that's actually taken after I'd stopped shooting concerts. He never played concerts.
Look at the candlelight.
And that's totally candid, not set up at all. That's at a dinner at Klaus Bormann's house. I was living at Klaus's house, and he came over for dinner before they were leaving to go and work on the Popeye movie that Robin Williams was in, because they were doing all the music for it.
right, yeah.
And we were up till 4 a.m. playing a game of $20,000 Pyramid, and I just snapped a couple of pictures, and that was
So
it.
great.
And there's Carl Wilson, one of the Beach Boys, one of my favorite bands, and I love him, love all of them. That was shot in Vancouver at the Coliseum. And there's John Bonham from Led Zeppelin, who I already spoke
that
about.
you were talking about.
Yeah,
but look at
just
this.
an
Were you laying
amazing-
on your stomach?
No, I am not. I know that it's great. It looks like I'm on the stage, and drummers are really, really hard to shoot. And I've got several drummers in there, and I'm pretty proud of the pictures of them. And that's John Denver. That's backstage at the Coliseum, and he was the sweetest man I have ever met. He let everyone come backstage to meet him, and I was stuck there for 2 hours taking pictures of every single person that wanted their picture taken with him. But he was so sweet, and I was happy
You
to do
just-
it.
yeah.
Very happy. That's
I love that.
That's Terry Kath from Chicago,
Great.
and he was an amazing guitar player, very underrated in the history of rock and roll. I'm hoping to change that. And that's
Yeah, that's nice.
that's Mark Bolan from T-Rex, who was the grandfather of glam rock.
I love these two. These two, like these together,
Uh-huh.
have just this kind of real intensity,
Right,
don't they?
and
Like-
that's what I tried to do when I was shooting, and that's why I waited. I didn't just snap a bunch of pictures with a motor drive. I would wait until they got into that moment that really bared their souls and showed who they really were. And there's the First Lady of Country,
That's
Tammy
great.
Wynette, and I shot her at a show where she actually played with her husband George Jones. So I have some pictures where he's in them as well. And I have one picture of her with him where he's looking at her with so much love in his eyes for her, and she has a big smile on her face. They were in the midst of starting to get divorced.
You thought you really captured that.
I captured a lot of love between them, which is really nice, and I'm looking forward to hopefully meeting George Jones one day so I can see what he thinks of the pictures.
So the things that you've said and told us today is what's part of the copy
All
in this
part
book?
of, yeah, all my stories and what it was like to be with them, and then also biographies. So if you don't know something about them, because a lot of people, have forgotten who some of the people
in
are,
there?
or don't know them, and so I make sure that I get the biographical information so you'll know who they are and where they
Oh.
come from.
Thank you, Deborah.
Oh, thank
We
you
have
so
to leave.
much. Oh my
And
gosh.
Frank
And there's
Zappa.
Frank looking at us over, and
Yes.
he's amazing. And he, at one time, thought he might run for president, and wouldn't it be great if he had been?
There you were. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you so much.
And thank you for watching the Joan Quinn Profiles. Keep writing to 777 South Figueroa, 44th floor, Los Angeles 90017. Bye.